Hi there, I'm Andrea Maranville, Sweet Life of a Baker and owner of Silver City Baking Company. Today I'm here in Gerhard's amazing test kitchen and I'm doing a segment all about meringue. What is meringue? Meringue simply is whisked together egg whites and sugar with a little bit of either cream of tartar or lemon and some flavorings. Now, there are three different types of meringue. There is your French meringue, Swiss meringue, and Italian meringue. They all basically are the same, but there are different methods to achieve what you're looking for. French meringue, ironically, I never as a self-taught baker knew the term of it. I always called it an unstable meringue. And then when I got on the Great American Baking Show, I was told I had to make a French meringue. And I freaked out and said, I don't know how to make that. But it really truly just means unstable. It's the most unstable of the three. So how do we create a French meringue? The way you create a French meringue is by taking egg whites and sugar and either cream of tartar or a little bit of lemon juice. Either one works the both way. It's a little bit of acid to help build up and kind of stabilize the meringue. So if I were to make what I would call an unstable or French meringue, I would put my egg whites into this mixer and I'm going to whisk it on medium to high until it just gets foamy. When you start to see those egg whites start to get foamy, you're going to add lemon or cream of tartar and very slowly incorporate the sugar until what you see is called soft, stiff peaks. And it's going to fill up the bowl and get nice and foamy and white, and that would create an unstable or French meringue. Today I'm going to show you the Swiss meringue method. It's a touch more stable, it's much easier to use, and I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to do that, because meringue is phenomenal for so many reasons. It can go on a tart, it can go in a cream puff, it can go on a cake, it can be a filling. It is just wonderful. You can toast it. Meringue is so fun and so versatile, you can use it in so many different forms. So how do you go about making a Swiss meringue? So what I have here are 4 room temperature egg whites. Now anytime you work with a meringue, you want to make sure your bowl is clean and dry, your mixing bowl is clean and dry, and anything you use is clean and dry. Water will inhibit the meringue from getting the volume you want. So you want to be very careful that anything you use when you're making meringue is clean and dry, removing of oil or any type of water. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take the 4 egg whites that I have and put this in this bowl. And I have 1 cup of pure granulated sugar, and I have a whisk. I'm going to take this bowl, I'm going to put it over top of what we call a double boiler. It's about an inch of water at the bottom of that pan, and I'm going to diffuse the heat between the bottom of this bowl and the water. But what it's going to do is it's going to dissolve that sugar into the egg whites and start to slowly create the volume we're looking for, but we're going to get rid of all the granules in the sugar. Now, when you're doing that on the stove, you want to be really careful that you don't stop whisking the bowl. You want to whisk it almost in its entirety, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it right back over and put it in the mixer. So when you first start doing this, you're going to see the crystals of the sugar, but you're slowly incorporating the egg whites into it. Eventually, all those sugar crystals are going to be dissolved into the egg whites. We're not looking to cook the eggs. That's the last thing we want to do. All we're doing is heating it up, trying to get as much volume into that meringue that we possibly can. Now, a really great test to know whether or not your Swiss meringue is ready to go back on the stove is if you take your fingers and you run it through. If you don't feel any more granules, you know your Swiss meringue is ready to go back on the stove. This is the same base of, oh, we got a little piece of egg in there, that's okay. This is the same base that you would do to make a Swiss meringue buttercream. It's the exact same steps. The only thing we're not doing is incorporating butter to make a buttercream. So basically we're making the meringue portion of it minus the butter. So next I'm going to take this mixture. Look how foamy it is already. It's already very light and creamy. Now what's going to happen? I'm going to put this in this KitchenAid mixer. I'm going to turn on high, and then I'm just going to let it go. And I will show you what happens when you get to the soft peaks and the stiff peaks. Now, I did not have cream of tartar today, so I'm going to show you with a little bit of lemon juice. For this recipe, if you're using lemon juice, you're going to use about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. You don't want the zest in this. All we're doing is trying to get some of the lemon juice for that acid into the mixer. So I'm going to do about 2 teaspoons. Get that right in there. After I turn it on. Hopefully I don't get any seeds in here. Now it's still warm. This is like really warm because it was on the stove. As this cools, it's going to get thicker and thicker, and it's just going to start growing in the mixer. I'm just going to show you the different stages as it goes far along. So you can see right now where we're at. See how it's kind of coming along, but it's like droopy? We're not done. We're going to keep going. At the end, it's going to be what we call a stiff peak, where it actually would stand tall on the mixer or on the whisk. At the very end, I'm going to add vanilla bean. I have vanilla bean paste here. It's much easier than scraping a vanilla actual bean pod. It's a little less expensive too, because vanilla is a little bit expensive. But I love the way that vanilla bean flecks look in the pristine white of meringue. I just love how that looks. So I always try to put a little bit of vanilla bean into my meringue. Whether I'm making a meringue cookie or a toasted meringue like this, I love having that vanilla bean fleck and flavor in the meringue. All right, let's see how this looks now. Now you can see it's starting to get more. And I see how it flops over when you get to the top. See how it kind of flops? That's a soft peak, okay? What about a soft, all right? We're gonna go even more. I can add the vanilla at this point. I have about a teaspoon of vanilla bean. Now, when the meringue's ready, it's going to be shiny and glossy, and you're going to see, look at that, okay? Look how shiny and glossy that is. That's what we're looking for. And by dissolving the sugar, we have eliminated the risk if we were to turn this into a a meringue cookie, which we would bake this in the oven. You get those nice sugary, crispy meringues. This eliminates the chance of weepage from having crystals that aren't fully dissolved. So now we have our meringue. What do you do with it? So I'm going to show you a couple different methods for getting those really great swoops, or not swoops, but a really great way to visually display this meringue that you've created. All right, let's just pretend that this was full of a pudding, or it was a tart with some sort of a curd or lemon curd inside of it. Let's just pretend that. Okay, and let's pretend that we're going to dollop this right on top. It's going to fill the whole bowl, but we're going to pretend that this is right on top of it. So how do you get those really great swoops that everybody likes with a toasted meringue? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. So now you can take the edge. So you've got 2 fingers, right? You're just going to go ahead and pull and drag. You're going to get those really great swoops that you look for on like a lemon meringue pie, or something along those lines. And you're just going to keep pulling and dragging and pulling and dragging. And then at the end, you're going to have this really great visual dessert that you're then going to toast. Look at that. Pull and drag, pull and drag. And you can make it as formal or informal as you like, but that's going to be the basis for how you would create a visually appealing pulls and swoops on the top of meringue. Now I've got a little, torch here that we use. I'm going to go ahead and just brown that up, just pretending that this was a dessert that I am serving for dinner, and get that really great brown toasted meringue on top. Okay? That's one method. Okay? The next method would be to put it into a piping bag. This is one of my favorite ways to do it because you can use just about any piping tip that you like, and you can get pretty creative with the way that you're using it. So let me get a baking sheet real quick just to give you a couple visuals for how you could put this on top of a cake, how you could put this on top of a pie. And we're just going to go ahead and put this in a piping bag. I like using the disposable piping bags much better. They're really not expensive and beats having to wash them out every time you use them, and it eliminates oils from repeated usage. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to fill this up. Now, if you notice, I have it folded over on my hand, okay? That's because when I lift up, I don't want them, I'm going to try to avoid getting a mess. Okay, so this was the Swiss meringue method. I'm just going to go ahead and show you really quickly a couple different design elements you can do. You can do a rosette, okay? You can do a shell, okay? You can do pop-ups. Okay, I'm using the same piping tip for this, but this is just a way that you can take a very simple thing like egg whites and sugar and really decorate up some sort of a dessert. And then you can go ahead, whether you toast it or not, you can go ahead and just get it nice and brown. Brown equals flavor, so you're going to get that nice golden nuttiness on here. You want to get all sides, and there you have it. You have a beautiful toasted meringue that you can use on top of a pie, on top of a cake, or pretty much any way that you want to use it. So there you have my Swiss meringue recipe.